What up, YouTube? Here with a post-fight video of the Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis fight. Now, before I give you out a summary of what happened in the fight, I'm going to tell you out the results first. Devin Haney was successful at capturing the WBC super lightweight title in his debut fight as super lightweight, and this was one of the better performances and a strong candidate to be the performance of the year from boxing in the year 2023. I had this fight personally score a shutout 120-107 in favor of Devin Haney, as did all three official judges. They had it scored a shutout as well, 120-107 in favor of Devin Haney. That goes to show y'all how this fight was, without a shadow of a doubt, a one-sided fight, a dominant, brilliant performance on the part of Devin Haney, and he looks way more comfortable fighting at super lightweight than he did at lightweight. Now, he did voice his problems that he had making weight at 135 and how he was getting too big to compete at that weight class, hence why he made the move to super lightweight and vacating his undisputed titles at lightweight. And not only was him having problems making weight at lightweight a factor to him moving up to super lightweight and him working with Matchroom in the zone again instead of Top Rank, who he had his last three fights with, and he held out on that potential mega bout for the undisputed lightweight title versus Shakur Stevenson, who is also promoted by Top Rank. And I heard his contract is supposed to be expiring soon with Top Rank. And then maybe in the future, if Shakur Stevenson decides to step up in weight, or if they can negotiate a catchweight bout. Now, I'm not a fan of catchweight bouts because I think that's somewhat of a cheat for top boxers at least. But if they were to make this fight happen that the public wants to see, because Shakur Stevenson coming up from super featherweight, and then now he had just recently moved up to lightweight, and in his second bout at lightweight, he was able to capture the WBC lightweight title in what was considered to be a disappointing performance. And Devin Haney, he just recently moved up to super lightweight, and I don't think he's going to show any interest of wanting to move back down to lightweight and to struggle to make weight to try and capture a championship, which he once held all championships at lightweight. That's why I don't think that fight between Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney is going to happen next year. Even though the fans want to see that fight happen, it's highly unlikely because we've heard it from boxing media that the contract that was offered to Shakur Stevenson, him and his team wasn't having it because they wasn't liking the numbers that was offered to them. And with that negotiation for that fight to happen, and Devin Haney was saying the only reason why he was sticking around at lightweight was for that potential bout with him and Shakur Stevenson to happen sometime in the future. And now that they couldn't come to terms for that fight to happen, I don't see that fight happening anytime soon. I see Shakur Stevenson trying to capture all the titles at lightweight, as will Devin Haney at super lightweight. And now let's talk about Devin Haney's performance versus Regis Prograis. And for him to do that in his debut fight versus Regis Prograis, who's been competing at the top level at super lightweight for a while now, is without a shadow of a doubt a statement maker. And he did that by totally outclassing Regis Prograis, who, as I said, has been a top level fighter at super lightweight in his debut fight, psh, I can't I can't give enough credit for Devin Haney for this performance. And as I have said, it's either this performance that Devin Haney pulled off versus Regis Prograis, or Terrence Crawford's victory over Errol Spence, or Naoya Inoue's victory over on Stephen Fulton. Either one of those three performances has got to be the winner for Performance of the Year for 2023. And Devin Haney, his key to this victory versus Regis Prograis was his lead hand. His lead hand was keeping Regis Prograis at bay. All he needed was the jab to maintain the distance and to have Regis Prograis not be able to close a gap between him and Regis Prograis. And whenever Regis Prograis got somewhat close to Devin Haney would step back or pivot and hit Regis Prograis with a check left hook that would be accurate and landing flush and having Regis Prograis back in the way, or Devin Haney would step back and land that left hook and start from a new position and keep on jabbing him from a different angle that he would create after creating separation and enough space for continuing his onslaught and his flow of offense upon Regis Prograis and continuing to dominate with his smart game plan and his display of ring generalship. And Devin Haney's 1-2 combo was working throughout the entirety of the fight, and his accuracy was top notch, and his elusiveness was making it difficult for Regis Prograis to catch Devin Haney and to find his target. You look at the whole fight, Regis Prograis not only didn't land any significant blows, he couldn't throw enough shots at Devin Haney because Devin Haney kept on peppering him with his lead hand, and Devin Haney was consistently elusive enough to have Regis Prograis not find him, and Regis Prograis couldn't get in his rhythm to execute his game plan versus Devin Haney throughout the entirety of the fight. And Devin Haney, as I said, he looked to be in tremendous shape, and I don't know if it's because, I would say it's a combination of both. The fact that he probably had a successful training camp, and as well as him and his frame fitting better as super lightweight than he did at lightweight, where he was draining himself to make weight at lightweight. And that's why he was able to fluctuate and flow flourishly the way he did versus Regis Prograis in this fight. And this definitely has to have all the top dogs at super lightweight on notice. After a performance like this, Devin Haney has got to be considered, at least in the conversation, to be amongst the top super lightweights. Now, the super lightweights got a good scene going on right now. There's no current unified super lightweight champions, unless you want to count Teofimo Lopez, who holds the lineal Ring Magazine super lightweight title, as well as the WBO super lightweight title after defeating former undisputed super lightweight champion who won the World Boxing Super Series tournament as super lightweight by defeating Regis Prograis in a close competitive bout, and then defeating Jose Ramirez to become undisputed super lightweight champion in what was an impressive performance. And then he had two back-to-back lackluster, disappointing performances after capturing the undisputed super lightweight title when he got that controversial decision win over on Jack Catterall in his return fight in Scotland, which is where Josh Taylor is from. And then he went on to defend the WBO and lineal super lightweight title versus Teofimo Lopez, where Teofimo Lopez dominated Josh Taylor to win and take the WBO and the lineal Ring Magazine super lightweight titles off of Josh Taylor to become the new lineal and WBO super lightweight champion. And after a performance like that, I say Teofimo Lopez is the best super lightweight at that division right now. And I say, with all due respect, the weakest champion at super lightweight on paper and definitely the least experienced super lightweight champion is the WBA super lightweight champion, Rolando Romero, who got a controversial stoppage win over on Ismael Barroso to capture the vacant WBA super lightweight title. Now, I had previously talked about this fight before. Rolly Romero, he got a controversial stoppage win where the referee stepped in to call the halt to the bout quite early, where Ismael Barroso didn't look phased at all and wasn't affected or damaged or hurt by the onslaught that Rolando Romero was bringing onto him, while Rolando Romero had him trapped in the corner. Towards the end of that fight, Ismael Barroso looked tired, and I say that's due to the fact that Ismael Barroso is well past his prime. He is over the age of 40, and if the referee was to let that fight continue, the way the momentum was looking, it was shifting towards favoring Rolly Romero, and Rolly Romero probably would have cruised to a unanimous decision win. That's how the momentum of the fight was looking. And that's because, as I said, Ismael Barroso started to look tired towards the latter rounds of the fight. And because Ismael Barroso is older in age, that's why I wouldn't want to see a rematch with Rolly Romero and Ismael Barroso. And it doesn't sound like an intriguing, compelling bout because of the age factor. And you look at the current WBA rankings when it comes to the super lightweight division, the number one ranked contender by the WBA is O'Hara Davis, who's been on a 7-fight win streak. Now, that's impressive. His only defeat in his pro boxing career was versus Jack Catterall, where he lost via split decision. And Jack Catterall, after his performance versus Josh Taylor, where he should have got the win, and then he had a win over on Jorge Linares in his last fight, and Jorge Linares gave up a heck of a fight versus Devin Haney when they fought. And that was a competitive bout. And Jorge Linares being an experienced veteran and Jack Catterall getting a victory over on Jorge Linares. And that makes Jack Catterall even more of a legitimate contender that competes at a top level at super lightweight. So that defeat that came from the earlier days for O'Hara Davis doesn't look that bad on paper resume-wise. And O'Hara Davis, as I said, being on a 7-fight win streak, definitely makes him a dangerous contender for a inexperienced champion like Rolly Romero. And then there's Kenneth Sims, who also has been on a 7-fight win streak, and that's the number 2 ranked contender when it comes to the super lightweight division, according to the WBA. And then there's Ryan Garcia. That's the next best ranked contender when it comes to the WBA super lightweight division rankings. And both Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia has been going back and forth on social media, where both fighters are known to be boisterous on their social media platforms, and the outlandish outside of the ring persona that both Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero share, that calls for a hype bout that the public can get behind. And Ryan Garcia being relatively new at competing as super lightweight, even though he's had, what, 3 or 4 super lightweight bouts already. And Rolly Romero, him being a new champion at super lightweight, that would be a proving ground of a matchup for both Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia, who are still young and up and coming in their respective careers. And then there's the IBF super lightweight champion, Sabriel Matias, who is, I would say, somewhat slept on amongst the super lightweights, especially when it comes to recognition. And his notoriety isn't up there because I'm not going to blame his nationality, because he's had fights outside of Puerto Rico where he's from. He's had fights broadcasted on ESPN, and his most recent fights has been broadcasted on PBC. And with Rolly Romero being a PBC fighter and Sabriel Matias having his latest fights being aired on PBC, if there's supposed to be a title unification bout as super lightweight, that would be a easy bout to make happen, because both fighters being with PBC. And Devin Haney, now he had jumped ship from Top Rank and ESPN to working with Matchroom and The Zone again. If he's to have a fight with Ryan Garcia, now I know Ryan Garcia has disagreements with his current promotion, Golden Boy, but he still has his fights aired on The Zone. And with Devin Haney having his most recent fight being broadcasted on The Zone, that would be a easy fight to make happen, rather than a title unification bout for Devin Haney to try and make a co-promotional bout for a title unification bout to happen with either Rolly Romero or Sabriel Matias, who fights with PBC, and Teofimo Lopez, who's with Top Rank, and Top Rank has all their fights aired on ESPN. And Devin Haney, prior to having this fight versus Regis Prograis, he had his last 3 fights being aired on ESPN working with Top Rank. Now, because Devin Haney just had recently jumped ship to Matchroom and The Zone, I don't think he's going to go back to working with ESPN and Top Rank for his next fight. I don't know what his contract is looking like. I know Devin Haney has his own promotion, and he co-promotes his events with known promotions like Top Rank and Matchroom and The Zone and ESPN. And as we know, when Devin Haney was the WBC lightweight champion and Teofimo Lopez was a unified majority lightweight champion, they've been teasing and going back and forth on social media and on television and other media press conferences as well about a potential bout for the undisputed lightweight titles when they was competing at lightweight. And Teofimo Lopez, after losing his unified lightweight titles versus George Gambosis in what was one of the better fights of that year, he had somewhat the same problem Devin Haney did when he was competing at lightweight, and his frame was getting too big to make weight at 135, hence what prompted his move to super lightweight, and now he's the lineal champion as super lightweight now, once again unified super lightweight champion as he was at lightweight, with more experience and looking more comfortable competing at a weight class where he doesn't have as much problems making weight at as is for Devin Haney. That's why Devin Haney looked the way he did. I haven't seen Devin Haney perform like this since his 2 fights versus George Gambosis, where he was dominant in, and he had that fight versus Vasily Lomachenko prior to fighting Regis Prograis, and that was a competitive bout. And him and his camp did voice for a long time, even before fighting Lomachenko, that he had problems making weight at 135. And that's why this was a refreshing, revitalizing look for Devin Haney. And now both Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez got more experience fighting at a championship level. I think it calls for a more intriguing and a compelling potential future bout between these two super lightweight champions. And then you look at the WBC rankings when it comes to the top 10 contenders. According to the WBC organizations at the super lightweight division, Sandor Martin is the number one ranked contender according to the WBC rankings. And Sandor Martin, he got recognized by boxing fans after pulling off that upset victory over on Mikey Garcia. And that fight was aired on the Zone. And Sandor Martin not only had a impressive win over on Mikey Garcia, he had a close competitive bout that ended in a draw versus Teofimo Lopez, who's the current lineal and WBO super lightweight champion. And I had talked about that fight. That fight could have been scored for either fighters. I had that fight score a round ahead for Teofimo Lopez. And I wouldn't mind seeing Sandor Martin having another fight versus Teofimo Lopez. And I wouldn't mind seeing Sandor Martin getting to challenge Devin Haney for the WBC super lightweight title. Now, I don't know what the promotional contract is looking like for Sandor Martin because he's had fights on both the Zone and ESPN. His most recent fights was aired on ESPN working with Top Rank. However, as I said, I don't know what his promotional thing is looking like. And that's why him being the number one ranked contender by the WBC, which is the title that Devin Haney currently holds after getting this win over on Regis Prograis, that would be a tough challenge and a good fight for Devin Haney, being relatively new as super lightweight. And he's only had one fight, regardless of the fact that it was a debut performance that all fighters are look for, especially fighting at a top level. And to continue this momentum that Devin Haney got going on right now, he can't be stepping down when it comes to the ladder of competition. He needs to keep on fighting top level elite competition for him to maintain and keep this reputation of being considered a top super lightweight champion. And I would say Sandor Martin would be a perfect challenger for Devin Haney to keep this streak alive after a performance like this. And Sandor Martin is ranked high by the WBO as well, and that title is held by Teofimo Lopez. And as I mentioned before, I wouldn't mind seeing another fight with Teofimo Lopez and Sandor Martin because of how that fight ended and how competitive that fight was. And it would also be a tough challenge for Teofimo Lopez because in his last fight, Teofimo Lopez became the new lineal and WBO super lightweight champion. And I'll say before that super mega unified super lightweight title bout between Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez can happen, I say they can have one or two other fights versus top-notch fighters that is amongst the top 10 contenders at super lightweight before having that fight, because Devin Haney being a new face at super lightweight, Teofimo Lopez has already had 3 fights at super lightweight, and The super lightweight division right now has got a healthy scene. There is Arnold Barboza, who's undefeated, and he's been considered to be amongst the best super lightweights for a while now. Teofimo Lopez, in his first defense of his lineal and WBO super lightweight title, he's got a fight scheduled for February versus Jermaine Ortiz. Looking forward to that. And then there's Jose Ramirez, former super lightweight champion, Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall. There is Regis Prograis, who's still in the mix amongst the top super lightweights. And then there is, as I mentioned before, Ryan Garcia. And there is, as I mentioned before, who is not as well known as a Ryan Garcia or a Jose Ramirez or even a Regis Prograis, that being Kenneth Sims and O'Hara Davis. And then there's also Jose Pedraza. There's also the next best ranked contender, the number 2 ranked contender when it comes to the super lightweight division, according to the WBC rankings, Gary Antoine Russell, who has been impressive with all his victories in his young and up-and-coming undefeated pro boxing career. And then there is Albert Puello as well. And the super lightweight division, I say, is arguably the best and the most competitive division in all of boxing right now. That's why there's plenty of options for Devin Haney. And as there is for all the champions at super lightweight right now, for intriguing fights to make happen sometime in the future. And before I end this video, I gotta say, another key factor that got Devin Haney to put on such a successful performance that he did versus Regis Prograis that night, and this attribute he's displayed over and over again plenty of times, and it shined in this fight versus Regis Prograis without a shadow of a doubt. And that's his ability to telegraph his opponent's attacks before his opponents can execute their attacks. And his timing was immaculate. Devin Haney was able to catch Regis Prograis and time his attacks, and that's what didn't allow Regis Prograis to execute his game plan and step on the gas pedal and fight the fight that he wanted to. Regis Prograis couldn't cut off the ring versus Devin Haney because Devin Haney kept on catching and timing Regis Prograis perfectly and consistently throughout the entirety of the fight. And he was accurate. He was effective with the shots that he was accurately landing versus Regis Prograis in this fight. And Devin Haney's ring generalship skills was displayed at its full capability in this fight. And I thought before I close this video out that I would mention that. Anyways, that does it for this post-fight video, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all opinions are from the fight that y'all saw with Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. Comment y'all opinions in the comments. Subscribe to this channel if y'all want. Like this content. Share this video if y'all want. All that. And I'm out of here, y'all. Be good and peace.